So guys, first thing you have to do when you receive this camera is make sure you update your Inspire 2 to the latest firmware, otherwise it will ruin your camera and you'll have to send it back to DJI to get fixed. So I can't stress that more, update your firmware. Hey guys, Aidan here from XM2. Today we're going to be unboxing the new DJI Zenmuse X7 and lens set. Pretty excited about this set. It offers a lot of new capability for our existing Inspire 2 aircraft. And let's get in and have a look. So let's have a look at the X7 first. Comes in their standard box size, for the same size box as the X5. We've got our little manual in there. Let's have a look. Nice little gold logo to distinguish it from the X5, which I think is the silver one. All right, here we go. So there is the X7 camera. It's packaged in there. Noticeably, let's have a look. It's on a little bit of an angle, obviously, because of the size of this thing, and I think this is allowing so you could probably keep lenses on there in the box, which is quite nice, I suppose. Yeah, it looks like you've got an extra slot here, so you could leave the lenses on so you don't have to pull them off every time you put the camera back in the case. Let's pop her out. Okay, so it is noticeably bigger than the X5. The actual main body here is quite big, a lot bulkier. Let's pop open and have a look at this sensor. Okay, so that's your Super 35 sensor there, and we've obviously got DJI's DL mount system, which is their own proprietary system. So it does mean you're not going to be able to use any of the old lenses that you would have used with your X5 or your X5Ss, which may be the Olympus or the DJI lenses. It can only fit their specific DJI DL mount lenses, which they've got a set for. We'll show you that in a second. Other than that, looks like a pretty standard DJI Zenmuse gimbal. Just clip into the standard slot on the Inspire 2. All right, let's put that back. Let's have a look at these lens kits. So, actually, nice thing, it comes with a case for all the lenses, which is really good for traveling around. This is a set of 4 lenses. Let's open it up and have a look. Oh yeah, there we go, very nicely packaged. So it will be very good for traveling. Looks like it comes with there's some sort of clear ND, I think. So, and that actually looks like the exact same thing. So I'm assuming these are just to put on the front of the lenses to protect the glass, so that when you're flying, we do it with all our lenses as well. Even if you don't need an ND filter, we put a clear on there, so if any sticks or stones or anything flicks up when you're taking off or landing or even flying the aircraft, that it doesn't chip the front of the lens that you're using. It only chips a much more inexpensive ND filter. So let's have a look what's in the set here. We've got a 16mm, a 24, a 35 and a 50mm. So good range of lenses there. One thing I noticed, it doesn't have a 90mm in the lens pack, which we actually do use the Olympus 45, which equivalent to 90mm on our X5S often. It is quite a nice little lens to be able to do some trickier stuff. They don't offer it in this set yet, which is a little bit disappointing, but I suppose it's probably to do with a little bit of the stability as well, because sometimes it can struggle. Be interested to see if DJI do release something later on in a longer focal length. So let's have a look at this lens. Very nicely made. Feels like real carbon fiber, not just a sticker around the outside. We'll open up the back here. Do notice this flange here is extremely low profile, and then this actual lens is going to sit really close to the sensor as well, which is the reason they're able to get this size lens on this small camera. So they are all pretty much the same. Looks like they're all the same weight as well, so very similar, so that you can interchange them on the X7 camera without having to change any balance rings or anything like that, which is a really nice feature and will ensure that you've got the best stability. Looks like this is some sort of sun hood. Oh yep, so there's a sun hood on the top here. That just flicks off. You do have a standard balancing ring. I'm assuming you can remove that to then put your ND filter on and then put the hood back over the top of it, and that should balance out the same. Or I think looking at these ones here, you could just run the whole thing because it's stacked quite thick. I don't know if it's going to fit the actual hood on. Let's give that a go and just see. So if I remove the just balancing ring, I think it is, install the clear ND. Actually, I got to check though. I don't know if this is just, if they're just clear NDs. We'll have to check in the specs. Yeah, so with the clear ND on there, you cannot fit the lens hoods on there. So, you know, just be aware you might get a little bit extra flare or something from it if you're using it in pointing it into the sun, etc. So, I'm just trying to figure out what this actually is. Oh, right, okay. That makes way more sense. So, these are actually two NDs stacked together. So clear ND, so it looks like there's one for each lens as a clear ND, which if you do leave just the standard clear on there, bang, yeah, your filter works. So your hood now works on there. So there is, that's nice. It comes with a one clear ND for each lens, which you should keep on there at all times. So leave it on there, and then there is the allowance for this ND to screw in a neutral density, or if you don't need to, you can just screw it directly on there and keep the clear, take the clear off, put the ND on, and then you should be able to use the sun hood still. So I'm assuming that's the way these are designed to be used. So yeah, pretty cool. We'll just have to see later on if it fits some of our other ND filters underneath. Doesn't look like there's space there, so it'll be one ND or nothing. Cool. All right, so let's have a look. Other thing I do like there, actually, I'll just notice, so obviously with the hood on there, the actual lens itself is a little bit protected in there. So if you're sort of just doing things with it, you could put it down on a something while you're changing the lens and not be worried about scratching the actual lens itself. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about why the X7 is an exciting camera to us. So obviously, the capability of this camera increases our existing Inspire 2 to be able to go on sort of high-level productions. So what is different about it from the X5S? So the X5S currently shoots at a maximum of 5.2K Cine DNG RAW at I think a 12.8 stops. The X7 increases that to 6K Cine DNG RAW shooting with a maximum of 14 stops dynamic range. So significantly better in not only resolution, but also in the dynamic range, which is a big thing for these cameras. 14 stops dynamic range, you're starting to get into some really high-end camera territory. And the idea is that we should be able to match this in post, or there are some profiles which are available, I think, through DJI, that will help you match it to footage from, say, an Arri Alexa or a Red Epic, for example. So, you know, without having to use a huge aircraft to carry one of those larger cameras and lens packages. I suppose that's probably the only downfall. While the sensor might be really good, the lenses are still only these lenses, so you can't compete against the cinema quality lenses, but you know, it's going to be a formidable thing in the air because it's so capable and easy to use, and you're going to be able to do a lot with it in a day. The other cool thing as well, obviously, is the upgrade to a Super 35 sensor. So, you know, obviously seeing here, it does look a fair bit bigger than the old sensor on the X5S. What that gives you is essentially more pixels to be able to shoot the same video. So we should be looking at a high quality image, and that's reflected in the high resolution and the dynamic range, and we should just be able to see it essentially. The other nice thing about this, I think the X5S was around a 20.8 megapixel still camera. This goes to 24 megapixels. And again, with the bigger sensor, there should be more detail within those images. What that might be really good for some of the stuff we do is some inspection stuff, for example, as well. We need that absolute highest resolution possible, and be able to use it on a small platform like this is really attractive. So we're really keen to have a bit of a go with this for the still side of things as well. While I'm on the subject of the lenses themselves are all at 2.8 speed, so not necessarily the fastest lenses around compared to some of the sort of similar lenses you'd be putting on these sort of sensors, or cinema quality, I should say. However, I think the stats on the sensor are going to allow it to be able to do low light stuff really well, so it'll sort of be a compromise for these. But I think what it's capable of is going to be far outweigh its 2.8 speed. So I'm just going to chuck it onto the Inspire 2 here with the lens and just to get a feel of how it all installs. I'll grab this over. I'll try and do it so you guys can see it. Might be a little tricky for me. So same as the X5S, like it's a pretty nice, exactly the same mount. It's going to be tricky. I'll pull it back here. In, twist, it's on. Now let's grab one of the lenses. Now I'm just doing this so I can see how everything balances up and make sure it all feels pretty good. So, and see how this new mounting system feels. Okay, so it's quite a nice feeling. It's got like a little sort of ratchet, I think, as it passes over the terminals which control the lens. Goes on there. This is the 24mm. Balances absolutely perfectly on the gimbal, which is really nice. I think this is the one I actually put the clear on from memory. Let's have a look. Yep, so this has got the clear ND on there as well with the sun hood. So yeah, that's really nice. I'm just going to grab another lens out. So this is the 16mm. I'm going to change it over. So you've got your little button up the top here, which is the release. It's not as smooth as I'd probably like it, but I think it's as it ratchets over all these mounts here, you can feel it sort of clicking across each one. So let's click this in. You can actually hear it when I'm going through. Okay, so that's interesting. So I've installed it without the clear ND and now the camera's actually back heavy. I'm sure if I install the ND, let's try that. Take the ring off. Did I take it off on the last one? I'll stick the clear ND on there. And let's stick the hood back on. It's still a little bit back heavy, that's interesting. So maybe it needs to have that extra ring on there, which I just pulled off, and in addition to the ND. Put this back on. So my thought was that these should be, I think once you've got it all installed on there, that it should just be a really quick swap and change, even with NDs or without. Let's see if this hood still fits. No, it doesn't fit now. Okay, that's really interesting. But the lens is now balanced without the hood on there. Which is interesting. I should try that again, but looks like, yeah, if you wanted to use the 16mm with an ND filter, you need to run the spacer or the weight balancer plus the ND, and that will balance your camera. But when you're running that, you can't actually use your sun hood here. So let me try that again. I'll pull this off. So yeah, probably some little intricacies we need to work out. I'm not stuck on there pretty good now. Do that later. Let's try a different lens. Let's compare the other lenses. So going to the 35 now. I mean, there are slight weight differences in these lenses. You can feel them when you're picking up, but they should all balance up quite well. So this has got that cap on it. So it doesn't balance, just it's got a standard balancing ring on there and then the sun hood. Doesn't work. If I now install one of the clears, as I pull these off. Okay, sun hood on. It's still back heavy, so it looks like on the other lenses, or you're going to have to, if you want to run an ND, that you actually have to run the balancing ring plus the ND, and that will get your balance right. So I'll do a little bit more work on that, and if you guys have got any tips as well, let us know. Like I said, this is our first look at it, so I need to figure out what's the best system to be able to use it nice and quickly and efficiently on set. Look guys, I think that'll be it for today. I'll have a bit of a play with these lenses a bit more, and I can maybe give you some information in the comments about what we think the best way to mount it is. If you've liked what we said today and like what we're doing, give us a like, and you hear from us shortly. Thank you.